Good evening. It's 7 p.m. and we'd like to open the February 4th Reuben Hoyle Library Trustees meeting. This meeting is being held virtually through Zoom. The town of Littleton began conducting remote participation Zoom meetings pursuant to Governor Baker's emergency order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 19th, 2020. Since that time, unanticipated legal concerns relating to the open meeting law have been brought to our attention by the town clerk. Those concerns were supported by the Attorney General's office and confirmed by the town council. One concern is that the chat function allows a parallel text conversation to a board's public meeting. Chat is essentially running commentary that is occurring, but is not moderated or followed by the chair. All participants and listeners may not be aware of the comments being made because some meeting participants join by phone and do not see these conversations. Another concern is conversations between residents within the chat room, which are not incorporated into the public record. In response to these concerns, the town will implement the following changes, which in no way prohibit any member of the public from participating in discussion and sharing information during a public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to this meeting. People that join the Zoom meeting are set so their microphones are muted. If you call in by iPhone, please use *6 to mute or unmute your phone. So that the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion, we ask the people who join keep their microphones on mute so that background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function available on Zoom, or if you called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise your hand function. The meeting host will notify the chairperson of the raised hands, and the chairperson will determine whether and when to allow public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute and then state their name and address. After speaking, we request that the participant return their microphone back to mute. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Do we have public participation other than the staff for the reopening plan?
Nope, I don't see anyone else.
Correspondence?
No correspondence.
There was the information about state aid, right? Are you going to cover that?
Yeah, I did get an email about that, but I haven't gotten an official letter yet. But we did get certified, and we're receiving, I believe it's over $8,000 in the first half of the payment, but I'm not sure how much yet.
Okay, thank you. Let's do the minutes, and then we'll reorganize to do the reopening plan, so that the staff, if they don't want to hang on, can disappear. Did anyone have any comments on the minutes?
I thought they were amazing.
Come on.
I didn't have any comments.
I have nothing to change or add.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of January 7th.
I second that.
Okay, we'll go around. David?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Mira?
Yes.
Katrina?
Yes.
Demetra?
Yes.
Okay, did I get everyone? It's hard to see when there's so many people on my screen. Okay, so let's jump to the reopening plan.
Okay.
If we go ahead.
Okay, so the reopening plan currently is to start on Tuesday, February 16th. That's based on the recommendation of the Board of Health. I met with them, I believe it was last week, and they took a look at our plan. They think it's a good plan, but they recommended that we delay it by a week from February 9th to February 16th due to the current numbers. They thought it would be prudent to wait about a week. The current plan, again, for those who don't remember, is to open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 6 and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. by appointment only. Patrons can call in and make an appointment with the staff, or they can go online and make an appointment. There'll be a limit of 6 patrons per hour by appointment, including computer appointments. Patrons must make an appointment either online or by phone 12 hours ahead. No one will be allowed to make it after that point, and it'll be strictly enforced. No patrons under 18 will be allowed into the building except for in extreme circumstances, such as very young children with a parent or something like a health aid, but they would be included in the number. Patrons must fill out contact tracing forms when entering the building. They must use hand sanitizer and wear a mask at all times. Patrons must remain 6 feet apart from each other and staff at all times. They will be encouraged to use self-checkout machines rather than interact with staff. Patrons may only browse the shelves and check out items. They will not be allowed to linger or to use the comfy chairs or tables or meeting spaces. And staff will be expected to wear masks at all times. They should remain behind the plexiglass when interacting with patrons at the circ desk. They should wipe down all workstations after each shift. Staff who show symptoms of COVID will be asked to get a test and to stay home in quarantine until they receive a negative COVID test. In order to help with this, we've already purchased several plexiglass shields to put up at the circ desk. I've purchased some signage to put up that indicate, stay 6 feet apart, wear a mask, don't come in if you have a fever, that sort of thing. We do have a infrared temperature reader also, if need be. So that's basically the plan as it stands.
I just have one question on the plan before we get in. We say no one under 18. Does that include no one under 18 for computer use as well?
Yes.
Okay. Do we expect that part to be a problem? I don't know how much under 18 use we have if you subtract out the gaming systems already. So
I think the schools gave out a device to every student. So I really, in terms of Littleton Public School kids, they should have access at home anyway. So it doesn't seem like it's a huge deal, but if the librarians have a comment or something, we can come back to that. But I think right now this is a good start.
Okay.
Sam, could you repeat the proposed hours for me?
Sure. Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay. Does anyone of the staff want to comment? Have anything they want to add or they want to say?
Sounds pretty quiet.
Go ahead, Andy. You have to unmute yourself though.
There. I thought we said 4 people, not 6. And also, I don't like the idea of opening on that particular Tuesday because it's a day after the holiday. And it's sort of going to be bedlam in there. Actually, probably nobody will sign up, but I would like to put it off to Thursday if that's what the plan is.
Okay.
I thought we did say 4 people and not 6 people.
I'm pretty sure it was 6. Originally it was 10 and we went down to 6.
I went back and checked when I heard that it might be 4, but everything that's written says 6.
Okay. Anyone else on the staff want to weigh in?
I guess I'd like to weigh in on one thing. I looked at MBLC's guidelines, and if I could figure out how to share screen, I'd pop it up so we could all read it. But on their recent share ideas of cleaning, they expect a daily cleaning and a deep cleaning daily. Now, I know, Katrina, you met with the Board of Health, and they were okay that we are open 6 days a week and only cleaned 3 and are going to be open to the public without any additional cleaning.
Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, but they didn't comment on that. That's not something they were red flagging.
Okay, because I just see us going with different guidelines in the state, which raises my awareness to say, why are we doing it differently?
So and I can't remember, I don't have them right up either, but I'm not sure the deep clean is a daily deep clean. But I know it needs to be a continual, like a surface clean of the high touch areas, which you guys hopefully are doing anyway, just for yourselves. And I think the timing of when the building gets cleaned is the morning after you guys are open.
We get cleaned right now on, I believe, Tuesday mornings, Thursday mornings.
This is right after. Sam, I thought it was the day after, but maybe I'm misremembering.
Yeah, it's either Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
I think it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Yeah. Because Monday, I don't believe it's Monday. But I guess all I'm saying is, so then you're saying the staff is responsible for that high touch cleaning all the time.
So the way that COVID is being transmitted is it's not driven by touch. And so I know that like early on in the pandemic, everyone was really focused on the touch. Mm-hmm. And so that's where a lot of these sanitation guidelines got really going from, and that's where they stemmed from. But as we've learned things over the last year, it's really being driven by air. And even if you look at the new OSHA guidelines and the CDC guidelines, they've moved the cleaning sanitation piece to like the last layer of mitigation. They're starting with the masks and the airflow and all those things. And then the sanitation piece is moved to the very end. So that doesn't mean that I don't want things to be clean for you. So I do think
I would just like to see us cleaned before and after of that, the times we're open for some reason, even if it's someone comes in and does the high touch surfaces after that, you know what I mean? 10 to 12 on a Saturday morning. If we could just maybe ask the town side if they could provide us with George to come through even, because I don't think the staff, and correct me if I'm wrong, everybody, but if a show of hands, if anyone would be comfortable cleaning, dirt on the high touch surfaces all the time. I don't know if that's something they want to commit to. And I guess I'm the mouthpiece for that. So maybe people are comfortable with the cleaning part, but I'll let people speak for themselves there. I just would like to see more cleaning.
Susan and Jennifer have their hands raised.
Go ahead.
I just had a question about the when Sam was saying about the kids, like the special circumstances for kids under 18 and what, like, I think that could be it could turn into a kind of a crazy issue if we don't really, lay out what that means. I just wonder what that meant. That's all.
Yeah. So Katrina and I were talking about it. We meant, little kids that, just can't be left alone. Like, so a baby on a mother's chest, that would be okay. Even younger than like 3 might be okay, as long as they're staying close to their parent. And, the parent says, no, I can't, there's no place else for the kid to go, but we'll require that, it'd be very limited. Try to encourage the parent, to leave the kid at home with another parent or something like that. And then health aides, an elderly person that needs an aid to get around. The staff shouldn't be doing that. They should have an actual person. So that would count towards the 6 people. So that health aide would count as 2, if in that case.
Okay. While I have you guys, I was just going to step in and address the thing about not letting essentially students, let's say under 18, with using computers. I think Katrina addressed it, but the only thing that they would really need us for potentially is maybe scanning or printing. And we have been taking in scan jobs at the door. We have taken printing. We are literally giving out our personal emails if we know that we're there and somebody needs it, in the next 10 minutes, and bringing it out to the door. So I don't think that's going to affect it in any kind of, educational way for the students.
Yeah, that's a good point. To remember that we want to keep pushing the curbside services you guys already do as much as we can, because we want people to use those and not coming into the building. and I definitely, and I think if they're, again, with the communication, if we're saying that we're restricting it to 18 plus, and a parent calls and like, what if I just have a 2-year-old, coming around with me, and if they really have no other option, that's one thing, but then push the curbside services when they're there, or ask them to stand there and you guys could run in to grab whatever they need or something. Like the problem solving of it, making it clear to the public that we're saying 18 plus because we're trying to follow our own rules. Is there a way to problem solve around that so that they don't come in if possible? I understand the baby stuck on somebody might be different, but then you're in the same 6-foot radius of them anyway. So
Susan has her hand raised.
It might sound obvious, but if we could add to the rules that patrons can't bring in food or drink,
Okay.
because they'd have to remove their mask for that.
I think that's a good addition.
Any other comments? Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, so far right now, it sounds as though that the staff has to do all the cleaning in the library.
I can speak to George about changing the days that we get cleaned. I'll have to talk to him and to Joe Layden, the assistant town administrator, about it.
Are there any other libraries open that have a program that we might know about?
A lot of the other libraries in the area, they have custodians on staff that maintain their own buildings, but we don't. We have a custodian that we share with the other departments.
Do you have something, Susan? Okay. Anyone else?
Not as far as cleaning goes.
So one comment I have is I like this general plan, and I kind of agree with what Katrina was saying also, that we need to figure out how to implement this plan while still pushing that, we prefer that you come curbside, and, I don't know if, it's like putting a poster together, or a web page or something together. These are all the things we can do curbside, right? And if you really need to get into the building, then, this is the process. But, right, here's everything you can do without ever coming into the building. So.
Okay, I can definitely pull something like that together.
But having said that, Mark, we can. You just sort of said we can do everything from curbside. Then, so why do we need them to come in?
I didn't say we could do everything from curbside.
No, but what do we provide for them when they come inside that we can't provide from curb?
So they don't have computer access, and they can't browse the shelves, right? And there's nothing you can.
Yes, they do. They have computer access.
No, they don't. How do they access the computers in the library?
I thought you could make an appointment to come in the library and use the computer.
Yes.
That's one of the things that we're providing, right?
Yes.
We're currently providing that.
So right now you can't browse. That's it.
Okay.
I really don't think this is going to be a hot commodity item people are going to look for, like, especially if you guys keep pushing curbside stuff. You guys, like, one of the best things is you guys have come up with these really robust and like diverse series of curbside services that you've been doing for nearly a year now. And I'm really proud of you guys for that. So I want you to keep pushing those things. And I do worry hearing various things that there is a small portion of our area of people who are not necessarily served by our current curbside services. And people that are like the computers are an obvious one, and we're still doing that. But I think there's a small group where not browsing or whatnot that is meaningful to them. And that if we can do that with really, really reducing the capacity, with an appointment-based system, it would serve a small group of people who we are missing right now. And hopefully that's just like an appointment a week and not 6 a day, or 6 an hour. But yeah, that's just, so I guess when I look at this and I look at your plan and all of the research I've been doing about transmission in indoor places and workplaces and all those things, like your plan, like the plan we have here really has ticked off every box for what is known and what the research is showing, that where indoor transmission does or does not, or the risk of it is very low, like the masks and the distancing and the HEPA filtration and cracking the windows and limiting duration and cutting down the density. And the density, even with these appointments, is like 10% of the building's capacity if you're spreading it out. So all those things I think are really, I can't think of another thing to add except fixing when the cleaning is happening, which I thought was happening the day after you guys were open, the morning after. So I was like, okay, it'll be clean the next day, the staff, then it'll be fresh again until the next time as fresh as it can be now, until the next time the public comes in. So that was the only, I thought the cleaning was happening the day after. We can talk about maybe trying to adjust that if we can. But there's the balance of like making sure you guys are safe. I can't think of another thing to add to this plan outside of asking you guys to improve your mask quality. And that's an individual choice of like, maybe you double up or just get a different mask. And that's something that the recommendation is everyone does, individuals or regardless of who you are and where you're interacting with people. So I don't know, I just can't think of another way to lower the risk further.
Well, what if we, I'm not speaking for anybody that I'm looking at right now, and I'm looking at almost all of the staff, okay? But the thing is to try to keep them safe. So why can't we, and I'm just throwing this out, why can't we wait until they're able to get vaccinated so that they can be safe? And then things change a lot.
Can I say something here?
Sure.
2 things. One, a benefit of offering appointments are that I had a situation that happened a couple weeks ago. I put a movie on hold. I put it on hold Friday at 3 p.m. I did not expect it to be ready for pickup. However, it was not ready for pickup until Monday at 3 p.m., which I was very surprised about. If I had been able to make an appointment, I could have just gone in, grabbed the movie, and borrowed it. That sometimes is very much easier than doing curbside. Also, I went to Chelmsford Library last week. They have had their building open since before December. They service a much larger town. They're a much larger library. There was less than 7 people in that building at 5 p.m., and they only allow a maximum of 25. I felt very safe when I went in there. They had all their precautions set up, their shields. They cleaned the area after I put my books down, and I even used the computer keyboard to look something up. They had a whole process on how to do that, and they sanitized it themselves afterwards. They had gloves on and everything. If there was a detrimental risk, I think that library would not be open, especially since of the size of the town that they service. But they've been able to remain open, so that says something.
Yeah, Demetra, with all due respect, I know it's Chelmsford. The staff was about to go on strike, and they were basically told, you have to work or you're fired. So
okay, I'm sorry, I did not know that.
Yeah.
When was that, Sam?
A couple of weeks ago, like a month ago.
Did they have any cases? Did anything happen?
No, but they have a union, and the union
Okay.
threatened to strike. And basically, the town administrator said, you know, you have to work.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm sorry. I did not know.
Yeah. Jean has her hand up, and so does Julie F.
Okay, go ahead, Jean.
You have to unmute, Gene. I'll be right back.
Okay, go ahead, Julie.
There we go. Okay. So that the fact that the Chelmsford Library was having those issues just made me think about all the other libraries in the area. And I did a bit of research today. I couldn't find one library that's open. Everyone is offering curbside right now.
Yeah, I thought I was sitting there.
And I think that Groton has plans to reopen in a couple weeks, but they only let patrons go on one floor. So I'm wondering if the trustees have spoken to other libraries to find out what their plans are. So like we're sort of locally working together to figure this out. It just makes me concerned with all the variants that they're talking about, and the fact that no other libraries are open and everyone's just working with curbside and it seems to be working. So just wondering, maybe Mark, you can answer the question, like, have you talked to other libraries about their plans? So we can all work together to figure out a way to open.
So I have not spoke to other area libraries in the area. My sister-in-law is a librarian. They've been open since July, actually, except for I think they closed down between Christmas or between Thanksgiving and New Year's, right? They've been open, fully open, no restrictions. They've taken out they're a library in Connecticut. So their only restriction is they took out the comfy chairs, right? They're allowing patrons, everyone full access. They don't have a cap on the number of people. And everyone feels safe in the library. As far as she hasn't had any complaints about any of that. Everyone has to wear their masks. And they've offered curbside and everything as well. And they just see reduced numbers of people coming in. So I'm not, we've know other libraries in the area have opened and closed and whatnot. I don't know what the status is of any of them at the moment. I'm not concerned with I don't think opening up, we're going to all of a sudden get, a flood of people. Even if we did, you have a maximum of 18 people a day coming into the library. It's not much more people in the library than you currently have in there with staff. If every appointment was booked, I don't think it's a huge risk to the staff with the amount of interactions you're expecting. I don't see this as as putting the staff at risk for any real problems.
So in terms of the variant, Julie, I know you brought it up. So yes, there are the variants that are circulating, and there has been the UK one found in Boston. So we anticipate that it's here. That doesn't change the mitigation strategies for them. They're still, with a robust mitigation strategy, the transmission risk is still low, especially with masks and distancing and ventilation and HEPA filtration. Like all of those things really still are reducing the spread of it. So again, I would just encourage people to look at their mask quality and add a filter, the surgical mask thing if that's concerned, because you'll just filter more as you breathe out and breathe in, and which will protect everyone. But that's everyone that should be doing it everywhere, not just in the library. So, and that's only because we have access to masks, whereas in the spring there was a manufacturing issue and it wasn't available for healthcare workers. So since the transmission of the variants happened in the same way as the original COVID, it's still the same techniques to prevent spread, and our plan is still really robust, especially given the capacity is really low. So I come back to the same thing. You guys really still have a strong plan, even with variants in the mix.
Jean had her hand up before.
Go ahead, Jean.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I'd like to say happy birthday to Andy. She's our prize commodity in the library. Happy birthday, Andy. And then next, I would like to say that we don't need to do any more to step up our curbside service. We are A+. We are leading libraries in our region. Jenna can give you the circs on that. We are doing outstanding. Today I did 2 notarizations. I have to clean after every time I notarize somebody. Our services are wonderful. What scares the heck out of me, my husband comes home and tells me that 12 mechanics in Acton Toyota tested positive. I said, holy cow. I said, oh my gosh, how is Acton Toyota going to do business with 12 mechanics out? Now, what happens if we test positive and we close our library down? We're losing curbside plus public browsing. So, throughout all of this, everybody says, you're safe to go out. Well, yeah, I go out, I go to work. The only other place I've gone out in a year is to Market Basket. And it's because I have to. And I run in that store for 30 minutes and I run back home. And then I go to work. That's my life. And it's like, and I think the other staff is being very, very careful so that we're all safe together. But our services are remarkable. And in the last 3 weeks, I've said to the staff, when I go out there and I give books to our people, in the past, they used to sit there, they used to talk to you. Now they stand away. They wait till I put the books down and I leave before they come to the table. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see a lot of people wanting to come through our doors right now. Curbside is where it's at. And I really, okay, we have a staff member right now being tested. If that test comes back positive, what are we going to do? What are we going to do as a library? We won't even be able to be here to offer curbside anymore. So to rush to open, okay, but what's going to happen if something happens?
And those numbers for Acton Toyota are as of today. 12.
Andy's hand is raised.
Go ahead, Andy.
Hi, going along with what Jean said, I'm actually not that, the variant thing sort of freaks me out, but I don't think that many people will come in. I'm actually worried that our curbside is going to suffer. And all the other things that we do. And I know we're really going above and beyond to try to provide things for people, but when I think of, even today, which was a slow day because we quarantine everything for 4 days on Thursdays, we don't have anything to check in. We have no bins to check in. We have no book drop to check in. So it tends to be a slow day. But even today, as Jean said, she was notarizing things. We had to fax something for someone that was huge. We were just doing a lot. And, we did have one person in to use the computer. And Katrina, took your advice, and he immediately didn't know how to print something. So I kept one mask on. I did not add another one, but I took my time and I put gloves on, and I went over and I stood at a distance and watched what he needed to do. And I said, and I couldn't. So I said, all right, could you please get up and move over there? And then I went and I was able to print it for him. But I'm just afraid there's a lot going on behind the scenes that you guys don't see. I've had people say, oh, you guys just sitting around in there. No, we're not just sitting around in there. We're like running our little feet off, and we're hauling stuff and we're selecting things. Diane goes up and down all those stairs gazillion times a day carrying armfuls of things. I don't even know how she can carry them all. We're just doing a lot. And I'm afraid if we start, I hope that this doesn't cause us to have to curtail our service for curbside, because I think we're doing a great job for curbside now. That's all.
I agree with that, Andy, that I don't want to see curbside services curtailed either. I don't think we're actually going to add potentially that much burden on anyone. I don't think, I'd be amazed if we had the number of people that we are allowing slots for in the building. It'd be a good thing to track. I hope we're tracking it. I don't want to have the opening affect the services we're already providing. And I don't think having people in the building is going to, I don't think it's going to, like, we're opening and then, there's going to be lines out the door, right, of people trying to get in. I don't expect that. I think it's going to be a trickle of people. And if it's not, then we should revisit it. So.
And in terms of if there is a case, you guys named it, like you could have a case among the staff and our curbside gets shut down. And when you look at the cluster, the data from clusters, it's coming from those, it's not coming from the random people who come in, it's the close employee clusters that are working together, get comfortable together, they kind of relax the distancing, they maybe have lunch together without a mask. It's all of those, once you get comfortable with people and you relax, and then you relax the mitigation strategies without actually realizing it. So it's that case in among the staff is still a risk, even if we don't open to the public. But again, like all of the data is pointing that the more things that you put in place, and this plan has all of them, the risk of transmission in those settings is really low.
I don't think any of the staff is eating together at all.
And it's actually a really great strategy, especially for a staff that's lean and mean like this one.
So I don't think they're going to give it to each other. They've gone all these months without doing that. It's going to come from someplace else.
So David, it actually very likely, like, I don't think anyone will purposely bring it in. You guys are doing a great job caring for each other and staying home when sick and like keeping away, getting tested, things like that. All of those strategies are what has made you guys successful so far. But I don't think you're going to find the day after you open, there'll be everyone is a case. So it's still, the thing that worries me most is still the staff infecting staff, because you guys spend long time together.
If you go back to the Toyota examples, I would be willing to bet that most of those 12 cases came from working together, not from 12 people out independently. If one person in the library gets sick, there's a good chance that all of them will get sick, regardless of whether we have people in the building or not. It's not necessarily the people in the building, it's just the staff interacting.
Jenna had her hand raised.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to touch on that, and maybe tell the other staff can say if I'm speaking for them. We understand rationally, like, yes, we are together probably with more, like some people like Andy who probably live alone, like she's with us more than anybody else. Yes, we understand that. But we also, like you said, have been respecting each other and have been doing our best. I don't know that from Susie Sunshine and Simon Snowflake who walk in the door. They could be coming straight from a party or whatever. So I think I'm not arguing against opening, but I'm saying that's what the staff is saying. Like, we know, yes, more time together, more, higher case of transmission, but we're saying we have the whatever 15 of us, but once we start bringing anybody in, that's more exposure of people that we don't know and don't respect us and don't know us. But anyways, my point was going back to the curbside thing and not affecting that. I think that it is going to be affected, not necessarily in the way like staff getting pulled away, but I think we need to be more detailed about how people are coming in and out of this building, because potentially we can have 2 or 3 people lined up for curbside, and then you have, you know, even 3 people trying to get in that door. Yesterday was nuts. We had to tell so many people, you need to step back. This person needs their stuff. You need to step back. So if we are just letting people, you know, at the 3 to 4 o'clock appointment, like, oh, just show up whenever, anytime between 3 and 4, it could be potential chaos. So can we maybe, I don't know, square away like more details about how we expect patrons to arrive and when and how they're going to leave, just so we can have some kind of routine about getting people in literally one door at the same time that we're carrying out 3 armloads of books for the DPREs or whoever, like, because it's going to be a bottleneck. So again, I'm not against opening. I just want it to be better designed in that sense.
So I know back when we started talking about this in whenever, September, October, there was an idea of having people who are coming into the building enter through the back door. And then that was changed by the staff. So there was an internal discussion that I wasn't privy to, that was decided it was better if everyone came in the front door. So I don't care which door they come in. I want you guys to set up that system for what makes it, what works for you guys. That is in your control. And I think you guys know how the library works and flows and where your staff needs to be. But I have no problem with you saying anyone who's coming into the building for browsing or computers needs to come in the back door, or anyone who's, and then curbside continues as is. It would be silly to change curbside. So it would be changing where the other people enter. But I leave that decision to you guys as long as it's clearly communicated.
I agree with that.
Andy's hand was raised.
Well, I kind of feel like it's my fault because I didn't, when I saw what some of the other libraries were doing, they were very strict about appointments. Like, my car is parked in slot number 1 and you will bring my things out at exactly 3:15 and put them in the trunk, and there will, and then I heard from people at other libraries who were doing that, and they were like, well, then the people don't show up, and then we have this bag of things that's for the people. And so I tried to make it as simple as possible, which is people just show up, you know, they're informed that their things are ready and they show up. And so sometimes nobody shows up for an hour, and sometimes 4 people show up at the exact same time. And I realized that also, I just figured it would be easier than us having to fool around with who is coming when and getting there. I mean, some of the libraries, they check your things out for you. And then if the people don't show up, they have all their things checked out. And then, so people have things on their cards, but they don't actually have the items because, anyway, I feel like it's sort of my fault. And so if people all come to the door at the same time, I mean, we had the first day we were open for computer use, 2 people showed up at the same time to use the computers, and only one of them had signed up. The other one thought he had signed up, but he had not. And there was it took me 10 minutes to get the people in because they were sort of mentally challenged, and that sort of thing will happen. Yeah, I mean, and we're running down to the door a lot, and we can't really do it in the back door because we can't spare anybody going downstairs because sometimes we don't even have enough people running in and out to do the curbside. So I will just try to muddle along, I guess, as best we can. Maybe we'll figure it out as we go along. I don't know.
And I guess that problems, like, you don't know where your plan might have those bottlenecks until you try it and you see where it's happening and then can problem solve around it. Like, it's like the computer close contact thing, Andy, that we were just talking about, of ways to improve that and lower your risk at the computer. So anytime there's those situations, you guys are problem solvers, and I think you can definitely think of a better plan of how to bring them in. If you need to change it, we can totally change it. But
I would like to ask that if we're really going to do this on that week, that we don't do it on Tuesday, because on Tuesday we have 3 days worth of bins to check in and 3 days worth of book drop to check in. And Mondays, we usually do 2 days worth of bins and 2 day, and Monday is so crazy. We can never do anything except that. And when we have a holiday on Monday and it's bumped to Tuesday, it's even worse. So I would ask to wait till Thursday if possible. Thank you.
Since it's your birthday, Andy, I'm fine with that suggestion.
I think it's completely illogical to push it a couple days too.
Are there other comments?
Yeah, Jean has one.
Yeah. Is there any way we could get the town greeter who greets the town hall to greet our patrons?
Is there a reason they can't enter through the same place and then come into the library?
I don't know.
That's a great question, actually.
Yeah.
They'd have to come up the elevator.
We could open the back door. We could open that side door. The only issue I would see with that is the hours, but if it required shifting our hours or something to match.
Yeah, the hours would be the issue because they close pretty much at 3, 4. And changing the hours to earlier wouldn't work for us because of lunch. It would interfere with lunch times and of staff availability.
But when you think about it, all the town people who work in their offices and are accepting appointments, they have a greeter. Okay? We're working in our offices, we're doing curbside, we're doing all of our hard work. They get a greeter, a paid greeter.
Jean, it's interesting that other libraries have a paid greeter. Are they letting more people in the building at once?
No, not other libraries. I'm just talking about our town hall.
Oh, the town. Okay, I misunderstood. I'm sorry.
But in Chelmsford, the staff is assigned duties to sit at the front door. This is their assignment. They take turns to be the greeter. It's an assignment. So that would keep all of the confusion away if we had a greeter assigned at 3 o'clock to enter people, make sure they're out of the building for the 4 o'clock people, and then whatever, but that greeter has an assigned duty there. And the confusion is we're running around and we're doing it, trying to do it, but we're not doing it well.
So if you want to designate a staff person to be the greeter, I'm fine with that, right? That's entirely up to you how you're managing the staff and the access to the building, right? That's part of that's your prerogative, right? If you guys decide that that's important, if you want to say that you're letting people in, it's just like what door you're letting people in, right? Do whatever works the best for you guys, right? That's all within your purview to manage, right?
Jean, that's an idea. Let's work on that. It's possible that someone could, like how sometimes we're going up and down the stairs so fast, sometimes somebody just stands at the door and yells up, Lamoureux, or, yells names and the other people run the stuff down. We might be able to figure out something during those times that somebody could, of course, we freeze to death. We'll have to wear our jackets. But maybe we could figure that is a good idea. Why don't we talk about that when we're at work, okay?
Would that require an extra staff person, or you're using the staff that you have?
We would have to use the staff that we have.
So
could we afford to just do that with the budget that adds another 6 hours a week instead of pulling someone who's doing CERC? Because as we know right now, we run pretty lean. If we could afford, I don't know if it could come out of COVID money, maybe Mark knows the answer to that, but if we could have that extra 6 hours or whatever it is for another individual to.
I can tell you right now, that's not affordable, especially since we don't know when COVID's going to end.
Okay.
And that we haven't managed to get anything out of COVID money.
Yeah.
Also,
Financially, does our budget allow us any wiggle room for 6 more hours?
No.
and the times that I chose, the 3 to 6, were times that we tended, and Tuesday and Thursday tended to be times we weren't that busy. The Saturday is a different situation, but the other 2 days we possibly could have somebody down at the door.
We'll figure it out.
Are there any more comments?
No. I know the elder gentleman, well, I'm elder, but the elder gentleman on the Board of Health was wearing the black shirt. Is his name Michael or something? Whatever. Is that his name? Nice fella. He was saying, that we could be taking a real chance opening the library for a couple of weeks or whatever. And then all of a sudden the big wave hits again and we have to shut it down. And how's that going to look? All right. I thought it was a good point that he made. And they're forecasting just that. Okay. I guess the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are saying that somewhere between the next 6 and 14 weeks, we're going to get that. Okay. And it's a race. It's a race to try and immunize people to try and head that off. And it's, it's just, it doesn't make it, to me, it doesn't make much sense. Okay. And it'd be nice if everybody could be vaccinated and then you wouldn't have to worry so much about it. You might be able to open up because at least you're all, you'd have one shot in you by, sometime, and it might be better. All right. But as far as I see, it's just a big risk.
It is a risk, but I don't think it's that big of a risk. And was Michael advocating for shutting anything down that was currently open?
No, that was
Are we
his
saying
comment.
that if we're not shutting anything down that's currently open, then saying that you're not opening because the situation isn't, it's, you can't have it both ways, right? You're not any more at risk by opening up something new than having the thing that was already open. Yes, the library is more at risk for being open, but the town hall is already at the same risk the library is at for it being open, and you're not recommending that they shut down. So to say one shouldn't open when the other one should is kind of a spurious argument, in my opinion.
And the other departments but you have the schools who have much more density in those buildings than we're asking of this plan. You have Park and Rec who has more density in their activities than we're asking in your 6-person appointment scheme. So we're not asking you to go beyond what any of the other town departments are doing. You guys are really at a much lower level because the density is really controlled than a lot of those other groups are outside of town hall.
Jenna's hand is raised.
Okay, I totally understand what you guys just said, but then I guess, can we be proactive and maybe make a plan for at what level would you guys let us go back to curbside only? Because then maybe that could give the staff a sound mind, like, well, if things hit this or if things hit this, we know that this is going to pull back. So that way we know you guys are already thinking about when something would need to change. So it's not just like let's just wait and see, and oh crap, there it goes, and oh, maybe we should do something. Like, can we have some sort of plan, some kind of safety net? Like, yes, we're going to be doing this, but if it hits the fan, like, we need to, like, the staff can tell me if I'm speaking for them out of turn, but can we know that you guys have our back if it does hit some kind of level, and that it's not just this, nope, we're open, and if the case is triple or quadruple, good luck, like, you guys open, so keep going.
So I think if things get much worse, the state will have a plan for us, for one, right? The town will have a plan for us that they're going to implement. Yes, I think we should have a plan, but I don't know that we should necessarily be I don't think picking raw numbers really helps anything, right? I think you have to kind of look more. I can't, just speaking for myself, I don't think you can just pick a raw number and say, oh, if it hits this, all bets are off type thing, right? You need to kind of evaluate the situation and look at it, right? And the state's going to have guidelines, the town's going to have guidelines, and we will be following those. And in fact, we've been more conservative than all of them so far, right? So we have your back on this. We're not just throwing you to the wind and saying, good luck, right? Because if we were, we wouldn't have even had this much of a plan, right? So
yes and no, because there are some libraries that aren't open at all, not for computer usage. We picked up curbside faster than everybody else. So like, yes, we love you guys, we really do. But at the same time, like, if everybody's feeling uncomfortable because we're all watching the news, like, I guess what kind of communication can there be that we can like come to you guys and you really sit down and evaluate this, like us being on the front line. And I mean, fingers crossed that this does not happen. Like, let's hope we've gotten through the worst of it and we are, making progress in the world and us letting people in more and more. But the state guidelines, like you said, technically in this building, the state guidelines, even at this 25%, we could probably have 40 people in here. Like, so I don't believe in the state guidelines because the state guidelines are pushing businesses and income, and we're not an income-based endeavor, so I don't know if I believe the state guidelines is protecting enough, I guess.
Well said, Jenna, well said.
So we're not even approaching the state guidelines. We're well below those, as Katrina has said. And I'm not comfortable saying, oh, if the number hits X of infections of this or that, we're going to, automatically close. But I think, we should be evaluating the situation on, kind of like the weekly basis and say, yep, we're good. We're not, the staff is still healthy, right? We've had no cases coming in. We know of no cases, contact tracing, right? The numbers in town are still good. We're still in the clear, right? But I don't know that you can evaluate it and just say that, oh, the number went from, 15 to 20, therefore we should automatically close. I don't think that necessarily makes sense, but I think we should and will be continuing to evaluate it. And if we get uncomfortable with it, we'll change our position, right?
Wow. I sort of like the idea that Jenna put forward, and maybe we don't know if there is a number or what the number is, or whether we want to take a chance on having a number. But it wouldn't be bad to toss that around for a couple of days and see if somebody has some ideas on it. Doesn't mean we need to implement something right here and now. Okay, but it was a good idea, and I'd like to see it followed through to see if anybody does have ideas about it.
So I've been looking at these kind of cut point for decision things from going all the way back to the summer for the schools and businesses and everything. And there is no set threshold where I can say, yep, at this point you tip over. But I do know, based on the research, and it's consistent in various settings, not just schools, but businesses and occupations and how buildings are set up, that if all these things are lined up, the risk is really low for transmission to happen in your building. No, even when rates are high outside the door. So I can't give you a threshold. I wish I could. I would love just to have an easy decision point. I'll be honest with you, this kills me. Every single day, every meeting I sit up there, I just want the easy cut point too, and I don't have it. But I can tell you that, like, even when rates are high outside the door, if you use the mitigation strategies, you will be at a much lower risk than if you did none of it and we opened the door. So
I guess I'm just looking for like an open communication that
I'm with you, and I want to hear where you guys are having trouble, because I would love to help problem solve through like how we can make it safer. Like wearing a face shield if you have a close contact at the computer, or what do you guys need to do this successfully? Let's talk about it. Like, I'd rather problem solve with you and have that communication than having you feel like you're being hung out to dry with no one to talk to. So please call.
And also, Jenna, I appreciate what you're saying, but I think that you have to remember also what happened almost exactly 11 months ago, in which suddenly one day we were open and the next day we were not open. You know, I mean, it's just boom, you know, everything hit the fan. And I think that we literally closed in one day, you know, and so I think that if something scary happened, hopefully these guys do have our backs, and hopefully, you know, we would close, you know, if something bad happened. But really, I mean, I appreciate your willingness to, you know, the staff to show up and the trustees to listen to us. And, you know, I think if something bad happened, we would be able to close quickly if we had to.
Yeah, so even if we weren't talking about opening, right, you know, we'd have the same kind of conversation if a staff member became sick, right? We would be having the same kind of conversation to say how we're continuing to provide services at what level, or if at all, right? If, you know, all of a sudden Andy came down with COVID tomorrow, we'd have to figure out how to deal with that, right? And, you know, we would have your back on how to deal with that, right? And it has nothing to do with whether there's patrons in the building or not. It's just the decisions that have to be made based on, you know, the current set of data you have going, right? And we've, as Katrina said, this allowing patrons in the building, we've tried to do everything we can possible to limit the risk to the staff, saying so that you're not any more likely to be exposed with patrons in the building than you are currently amongst yourselves. So. Are there other comments?
I just want to say again, you are doing a fabulous job with curbside. That has been such a wonderful thing, and I hope that people will continue to use that as well. And I hope you don't have that many people coming back to keep you safe. But there will be things that come up. You know, I've just started back to school this week for the first time this year, and they've tried to anticipate everything, but things come up. And I hope that we can talk, you know, let us know what you need or what we didn't anticipate, and we can try to work those things out, and hopefully in a way that makes everyone feel as safe as possible.
So
we're all saying that we hope, you know, very few people come. All right, if we were to open the doors, we hope very few people come and everybody continues to do curbside. Does that make any sense? Makes none to me.
I think there are people for who they do need the library services. Like Katrina was saying before, curbside work has worked for many people, but I think there are a small number of people out there who could benefit by being able to come in and browse.
I don't expect a flood of people to be coming in, and I think that if the staff does a good job of continuing to promote curbside, that will continue to be true for the foreseeable future, right? And not to try to put the impetus back on the staff on this, but as long as people see that curbside is successful, there will be less desire for a lot of people to come into the building, right? So the more you do with curbside, the less people will be wanting to come in or needing to come in, right? It's just some people have the need even with curbside to come in. So let's meet that need, but let's try and keep that need, that group as small, you know, that to be the niche group that has to come in rather than the general, right?
Julie has her hand up.
Go ahead.
So I totally understand how some people need to use a computer or get something printed, and I think we're doing a really, really good job of that. I do not understand why during a pandemic people need to browse. Like, we have all stepped up our game and learned new technology, and I learned how to do Zoom like 3 days after the pandemic started so I could do my book club. And people can use technology to find books in the library. They can call us. We make recommendations. We have an amazing reader's advisory. Like during a pandemic where one of us could actually die, like I don't think that should trade a possibility of a death for the enjoyment of browsing. And can someone explain to me what else besides browsing people would need to use the library for, other than computers and faxes and photocopies and that kind of thing, which we're already doing? So that's my question.
Jean?
Oh,
To agree with Julie, speaking with a lot of our staff, they have fears. And it's not fears about people coming through the door. It's fears that they might not see their elderly parents that they haven't been able to see alive. I have my little safe bubble. I haven't had part of my son, my family in this house for over a year. Yeah, I would like to browse in a library, but I would love to hug my son, but I'm not doing that. This is a pandemic. So the library as a living room? No. My house has a living room? No. Our staff has a lot of fears, and most of it is pain because we don't have our life. We don't browse. We don't even hug our families. That's, browsing, okay.
Can I speak?
go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I think, I'm generally okay with letting people in. I am accepting it. I do not like it. I don't really want it, but I accept it. I think what's maybe bothering a lot of the staff members is you guys saying that this is a need when I really think it's a want. And that's fine. You can say, this is what we do. Our patrons want that, even though I haven't had a single person here ever ask or say, I want to come in. Yes, we can't wait until we can. Sure. And that's fine. Again, I'm going with this plan. I'm going forward. I do like to have a safety plan because I like to plan ahead. And I know that this world, we can't really do that as much as we would like to. Definitely not as much as I like to. But I just really would like it if you guys, me personally, and I don't know if, again, I'm speaking for the staff, don't say this is a need. It is a want. Because we literally will cart out bookcases of books to people to touch out there if they want, and they can just toss it back in the book drop. But you guys saying that this is a need, no, us going to the grocery store and getting food, that's a need. People touching the shelves, looking for the perfect book, not a need, because I can bring you the shelf. So that's, I think, where a lot of the staff members are getting a little irked about, with you guys saying that this is a need versus a want. And that's the world that we're in, because I want to go to Disney World, but that's not a need. So we all have our things. Jeannie wants to hug her son, but that's not a need. And that's where we're all making these decisions. We know that everybody in the world is making these decisions, but just acknowledge that that's how we see it. We see it as a want and not a need.
Okay. Does Jean have her hand up, or is that?
I think that's left over.
Oh, okay.
She's had it up the whole time.
All right. Where'd you go, Jean?
Can I interrupt for 1 second? I think emotions are really running high, and part of it is we've had our own little, I wasn't going to bring this up, bit of drama this week. 3 people within the past week have been within the past 5 days have all been really sick with the gastrointestinal thing really quick. It's been like Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday. So we've had people, and just seeing that, how quickly that little, whatever it is, I had to go get a COVID test yesterday, because we all rapidly came down with it, is pretty frightening. And you're right, Katrina, it's moved so quickly within a staff. And I think that's why you're seeing that kind of people's feelings, because I think people are a little on edge right now and a little frightened.
Okay.
I mean, I completely get this. The fear of it sits with me too, and I get it, and I'm not in your shoes, so I acknowledge that too. But if I was standing in your shoes and I was looking at this plan, knowing what I know, I would put myself there, I would put my kid there, I would put my parents there to work. Like, I can't think of another thing to lower the risk. And whether it's a need or a want, it's probably in the eye of the beholder of who gets to go in the building to sit at a computer or to browse the shelves. But there are people who aren't being served by curbside right now in all factors. And so offering them this way of getting an appointment and putting all the hoops in place to get that, so that it's not just off the cuff, I want to go to the library. It's, I have to plan 12 hours in advance, and I have to have one of these appointments, and I have to have my mask, and I have to do everything else to make it as safe as possible for you guys and them. I just can't think of another thing to add to do that for you. And I get the fear. I really do. Because if something happens to one of you guys, I'm going to feel very responsible.
I hope you would. Am I muted right now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay. I just want to say, I think you've done a wonderful job.
Yeah.
And I think this is a painful process for everyone involved. And I think emotions run high when we feel a little threatened and you feel responsible. You are in no shape, form, or anything responsible for the outcome of this. It is all fate. But I thank you for so much that you've done.
Yeah.
We'll just blame Mark anyway.
I'm used to it. Someone wants my job, they can have it.
No, thanks.
Okay. Are there any other comments, or how do we take it from here, Sam? Do we need to take a vote or just implement it, or?
I don't think a vote is necessary.
So I agree with Andy,
Oh.
since it's her birthday, of moving it back to the 18th. Only because it's her birthday.
I don't agree at all. I'm not in favor of opening.
Okay. So are you suggesting we need to take a vote? Because I don't know that this is something that we actually have to take a vote on. If you
Well,
want to take a vote, we could, but I don't know that there's any point.
We voted to open the library on a certain date, which was supposedly next Monday or whenever it was. That's what we voted on last time.
So we don't have to.
Why would we not vote on this to change it?
Because we haven't changed anything. We've already voted to open the library. What are we voting on now?
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you want to vote on the plan, we can hold a vote on the plan, but I don't know that there's a requirement legally to vote on it, unless you want to everyone wants to, I mean, you've stated your opinion. I think it's a good plan. We can, do a roll call and say, does anyone else think we should be doing something different? Right? But I don't think there's any legal requirement that we vote on anything here.
Unless I make a motion.
To do what, right?
I make a motion I could make a motion that we don't open the library on the date that we decided, and that we wait another month.
Okay. But I don't know that I have to accept that motion anyway. I mean, we can play this whole game, but I don't know. Want to make a motion and go ahead.
Well, it probably won't be seconded, so maybe I'll just save it.
So,
I can make the motion, but I really seriously doubt that anybody will second it here.
Can I add something? I don't know if I can really speak, but does it help at all to reduce? I mean, it feels like I. Sorry.
are you asking if it would be better to reduce the number of people? 'Cause I think even if we took the number down to 2, we'd be having the same discussion, right? I don't think the number of people in the building is really the concern. It's that there's people in the building. So.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to suggest.
I think any number greater than 1 is any number greater than 0 is the concern. So if we're doing this on the 18th, I was going to say, do we want to have a check-in before our next meeting to how it's going, or just an informal one? Or the 18th is only 2 weeks before our next meeting, so we probably won't actually have much
Point of
idea.
order. Point of order.
Yep.
Okay, what day at our last meeting, what date did we vote to open the library?
February 9th, next Tuesday.
Okay, and what date is it now?
February 4th.
No, what date is it supposed to open now?
Oh, February 18th.
So who changed that?
The Board of Health suggested we postpone it.
They suggested. Did we vote on that?
They didn't vote on that.
Did we?
Are you suggesting we vote to move the date?
Well, you're saying that the Board of Health can tell us that we have to change, that we can change the date, or we should change the date, and then we just don't okay it?
I don't think the Board of Health gave us any mandate that we had to follow, but I'm not 100% positive on that because I wasn't at that meeting. They made recommendations and we're following their recommendations.
So what we voted just got changed without any discussion.
I think we've just discussed it for the past hour and 20 minutes.
Okay. I think that's wrong.
So what are you suggesting, Dave?
Well, I'm not in favor of the library opening, but the idea of changing, of having it be on the 8th and then changing it to the 18th, but we didn't change it, somebody else did. That doesn't sit right.
They didn't change it. They made a recommendation that we changed it from the 9th to the 16th, and we agreed to go with their recommendation. And then Andy made a recommendation.
Who's we? Who's we?
That's what Sam just...
Who's we decided to change the date?
We voted to open on the 9th. The Board of Health recommended that we revisit and that we change the date to the 16th.
Yeah.
We have been discussing the 16th since then. Andy made the recommendation that we go from the 16th to the 18th because the 15th is a holiday and we're concerned about the amount of work and people coming in. So we just have been discussing all along whether to open the 16th or the 18th or when to open. And I think we agreed to change, that we would push the date back. Are you saying that you're not in favor of pushing the date back and we should open on the 9th?
I'm not in favor of opening the library at all.
So,
but I'm just one voice, so I think maybe it's just better if I just don't say anything more.
Okay. So do we need anything further on this to go forward?
Legally, no.
Okay. And do you want one of, I mean, are you I mean, Katrina and I can work with you on the plan as you're going forward to make sure that things are staying safe and under control. And if you have any issues, you know, the problem solving things will help out.
All right.
And leave my
Okay.
number right on the desk, Sam, in case anyone needs me.
Okay.
So, okay. So, thank you. Okay, so if we're done with that one, we can move on to the treasurer's report.
One moment. Okay. The Barth was sent to you all yesterday or the day before. Did everybody get it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and that was the current Barth. Littleton Library Fund is $706,715.82. 706-715-82.
706-715-82. Okay.
Correct. The Reuben Hoare Library account is $6,869.78. 6869.78. Okay, Kristen, did you get that, Christine? Okay. And the Sean also sent the library construction state funds, which I guess is the balance that they've paid us. Or it's either that or the balance that we have left to get. $2,346,795.67.
Yeah, that's how much they've given us so far.
Okay.
Out of our 5.8 or whatever, right?
Right.
Right. So that's the treasurer's report.
Can you say the state funds again, please?
Yes, state funds, $2,346,795.67. Got it? Okay.
And we should be getting another check shortly, probably, right?
Right.
Another 1.2-ish.
Right.
So. Okay. The only thing I had on the treasurer's report is, I don't know if we want to do this or we want to talk to Sean and see what his recommendation is, but there's $87,000 in the stock building fund that is going towards the construction project, and I don't know how long he wants that to float in the stock market versus moving it out to MMDT.
Ooh. Okay, where is that shown? The 87,000. That's not on the Barth, is it? No.
It is on the Barth. It's the second of. It's one of the bottom ones.
I don't have the Barth. No, I just wiped out the Barth. Okay. It's the 87,000.
It's the 404 fund.
404. Okay.
And
the question is.
So that fund counts towards our $1 million of fundraising that we're putting into the library project. So I don't know I don't know if we're responsible for converting that money into cash or he's going to do it, or if we have to make a motion for him to do it. I think they basically are in control of the entire MMDT building fund account and that fund, but I don't know.
Well, I can call him tomorrow and ask him about the 87,000, specifically whether that needs to get taken out of stocks and put into cash. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So the question is whether he's going to do that on his schedule or if we have to make a motion to do that or,
Okay,
right.
all right.
So if he wants us to do it, we can do it at our next meeting, or he can pretty much do it whenever he wants.
Okay. Or let him do it whenever he wants. Okay, yep. Gotcha. Okay. I'll call him in the morning.
Okay. Friends report.
Okay, so the February is Love Your Library month, and they can't do many of the things that they usually do, like the cookie sale and a lot of the story times and things that happen with that. But what they are doing instead is there's a candy jar for an estimation contest. So you can, I think, do it online, or maybe is it even at the library too in the window? And yeah. So, and then there's a form for collecting library messages, so they can do the form online or they can drop off messages for the librarians at the library. And then also collecting recipes for favorite cookie recipes, since they can't do the cookie sale. That was something that could be fun instead. So those are their main things for February to celebrate Love Your Library Month. And those are the major things, I believe, I have to say.
Okay. Anything else to add, Sam, or?
No, that was it.
Okay. Fundraising and public awareness. So Katrina and I met Saturday, Friday,
Yeah, we've met a couple
sometime
times
recently.
now.
And we've put together a spreadsheet of the businesses in town and flagged those that we're going to send out a letter to. At our last meeting, Mira and Chris said they would help do some vetting. So I'll talk to you both, or one of Katrina or I will talk to you about how to do the vetting on some of those. We basically, for some of them, we're not sure if they have like a foundation we have to go through or how to reach the right person. So that's what we're trying to get at.
Or you know,
right?
if the contact information that's on the list is even updated, like there's probably been some shifting.
And the other thing, we'll send a list, we'll share the spreadsheet with everyone. And if there's businesses that we didn't mark as those that we should contact, please add them to the list especially if you have a contact, or if you want to do a personal contact on any of them, just add them to the list. And, you know, when we do the letter, you can sign it and write a personal note. So, I would guess that we're trying to get the letters out in probably the next week or two. So, they might go out in waves for the ones that we already know about versus the ones that are still being researched, but the goal is to get them out soon.
Yeah, I think for the first group, which is a little easy because we know the contacts, I plan to get them out in the next couple of weeks. So if we can maybe start the research piece, and if we know there are some that are ready to go, I'll just add them to my batch.
And the research piece, like just to pick on Emerson, because Katrina's already done a lot of that, right? So we already know that Emerson has a grant process. We're not suggesting that you have to apply for the grant process, right? As part of the research, just identify it and how to, and what it is, right? So that we know how to contact these people. That's what we're trying to get at right now. It's just how to contact them, not actually contact them. So, that sum it up, Katrina?
Yeah, and if as you look at the list, you realize we're missing individuals or businesses, you can add them, and we'll just make sure they haven't already donated or something in little green light first before we do that. But do anything with them. But yeah, we've written a couple different groups of letters of who we're targeting, and we're going to start rolling them out this next couple weeks.
The other thing, we're watching for grants for solar panels. There's a possible one from EBSCO. Do we use EBSCO, Sam?
Yes.
So that will help when we write the grant application. They have grants for solar panels. We're also looking at things potentially from the state for solar panels. Katrina was reaching out to Emerson for another grant.
I think that was still in your hands though, Mark. We need the details.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The equipment.
So we're getting pretty close to our goal now. So we're coming up with things. So like the solar panels, if we exceed our fundraising goal, we might go for, providing solar panels. Or another idea is the AV system for the meeting room, to have it, and then doing some things with getting the hearing loops, the type system in the meetings rooms and things like that. So those are the things we're talking about as potential add-ons for the fundraising. So, any questions? Building project updates. So I believe you selected all the carpet now, Sam?
Yes.
And there's still a wait on the cork floor, I think, right? Is that true?
Yeah, I believe so.
The building, I believe Commodore has changed their estimate for completion and pulled in the date by 2 weeks. So I think they're tracking towards like September 1st-ish now, when I think the original contract was around September 14th or 15th. And depending on the conditions, that date might pull in some more. There's a lot of push now to start getting the furnishings and things planned out, especially the shelving, which apparently has a very long lead time. So they don't want the whole building to be up and no shelves in it. So that process is starting. The Commodore has offered to give the trustees and the library staff a tour of the building. So if we want to do that at any point, we can have that arranged for the staff. It'd probably be best to do it like 3 o'clock on some afternoon when the construction workers are going home. But we can arrange that if anyone's interested. At the moment, if we were to do that, you have to walk or sled down the slope to get to the bottom floor. I think I don't think there's steps are in yet, though the exterior ones might be. I'm not sure.
They're framed, but I don't think they're poured yet.
So, and we're also coming in very close to budget, if not a little better on the budget than we originally anticipated. The only other thing I have on the building project is LELD is looking at potential grants to put in charging stations at the new building as well. So there might be another DC fast charging station, or potentially another level 2 station at the building. So if that means anything to anyone. So any questions on the building? Okay. Trustee updates. Do you want to start, Dave?
I have none.
Katrina?
Feel like you guys just heard all of mine. I did get a Valentine's craft today for my kids when I stopped by, so I'm looking forward to doing that with them. But you guys know what I've been working on.
Mira?
We went sledding behind the library yesterday, and it's really looking good. So it's nice to see the progress on the new building.
Chris?
I went to pay my tax bill the other day and was behind the library for the first time in a couple weeks, and was very excited to see a building back there. So that was pretty cool. Other than that, I have literally been in my house. So
I do love Diane's posts with her updates from the children's room view. Those are awesome.
Oh, I also really had a chance to see some really cool drone photos today. Sarah sent me a link to some really cool drone photos, so that was really fun.
Oh, yeah, yes. Ethan, we get him to come out every couple of weeks to fly his drone over the building. So it's our excuse for getting him out and seeing it. So, Demetra?
I too took my kids to the hill to go sledding, And I kept wondering, what is it going to look like when we're in the new library and we can see the kids from that angle sledding? I think it's a really beautiful view.
I've been admiring the library going up to and watching it change colors as it goes from steel color to yellow color to the blue that's being put up. And outside of the normal stuff, I spend a lot of time on the building updates, I think, so tracking down everything. So, okay, director's report.
Okay, I met with Alicia and Ashley, the EHS director and the Park and Rec director, a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about how we can create some sort of educational or support group information for families dealing with COVID. So we're going to be working on that. I also met with Ashley again. We're going to be applying for an LSTA grant. Well, I will be, and I'll be coordinating with them on an Access for All grant for people with visual and audio disabilities. And I met with the LSTA grant, I guess, MBLC advisor today. And she gave me some information about how we should go about applying for the grants. We're going to look for audio loop equipment for the meeting rooms, larger magnifying glasses for people who are visually impaired, larger screens, software for that, Braille printers, that sort of thing, training. So the grant is for up to $15,000 over 2 years. I submit the drafts on the 18th of February, and then the final grant application will be in April, and then they'll let us know in July. And then we can start basically when the library opens. So they said it was perfect timing. They know we're doing the project, obviously, so they said, it's perfect timing for when we open. And yeah, so I'll be applying for that. I met with the Board of Health. You all know, we discussed that already. And the town hired the services of a company called GovHR, and they're doing a compensation and classification study. And for that process, they interviewed some of the staff, at least one person from each position. So they interviewed me, Helen, Diane, Jean, a few other people. And basically they talked to us about our job descriptions, how we feel we meet our job descriptions. Is there anything that we do beyond our job descriptions, which is pretty much everybody on the staff. And that will be used to help determine a new compensation schedule and people's grades and steps, that sort of thing for our compensation. And
Did
then
they tell you were overpaid?
Yeah. I told them to give Helen a big raise too.
Okay.
On February 5th, tomorrow we're collaborating with the North Reading Library to offer an author talk with Robin Cook, and the program will take place at 7 p.m. via Zoom, and that's on the website for how to do that. As far as budget goes, we're pretty much on track. We're doing well. Yeah. Still a spending freeze, so we can't really spend a lot, but as far as payroll goes and town materials, doing pretty well. And then the rest of the information is just stats. Any questions?
Were you able to get any of that care stuff through town, Sam?
I haven't tried again yet. Yeah, I'll try soon, but they've been pretty busy with a lot of different things, and they're not really responding right now.
Okay, let me know if you want me to reach out to anyone.
Okay.
I'll more than willing to poke them again.
Right.
At least we should be able to get like the book carts and potentially. I think the other one that might be good to get would be if we could get the lockers too. If we think they'll fit in the new building, then that's something that might make sense to get now too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any updates, Helen? You're muted.
Okay, how's that? Better?
Well, I can hear you now. I won't go with better.
What's happening? We did the Valentine craft. We produced about 80 of those, and they are going out, so grab yours now. And we have an exciting event coming up in March. A state geologist, I think his name is Ian McCarthy Earl. is going to customize it to do a geological history of Littleton and really talk about what is unique, such as Tophet Chasm, what is the rock formations, and tailor it directly to Littleton. And we're hoping to kind of see if Littleton Conservation Trust and publicize it that way across different platforms. And it'll be via Zoom. It would be wonderful if, things were different and he could come out and do a walk too, but maybe that's sometime in the fall when this is all behind us.
What was that date, Helen? That's really interesting.
Yeah, March 16th.
Yeah, definitely. If you want help connecting with the conservation group, let me know because I have their contacts from the story walks.
Okay, great.
There was also the Lyceum's doing another round of programming in the spring, and there was one that I think they decided not to do, that the Historical Commission might want to, that I think would be a good partnership with the Historical Commission. So reach out to Andy and or the Historical Commission and find out more about that. It sounded like a good program that was fairly cheap. So.
Okay.
Sam, I noticed that only you have notary numbers reported here. Was that true, or you're fudging the report this time?
It's very true. I was the only notary. I think they did it on purpose. Every time there was a notary, someone needed something notarized, they all came to me about it. When there were obviously other notaries in the building. So.
Okay, well, we need something notarized tomorrow. So who will be there?
I'll be there.
Okay. Sarah will come looking for you then.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone? Oh, my other question for you on the general budget and stuff is anything more set for the 2022 budget? I assume that presentation already happened and.
Yeah, so the select board decided not to do presentations except for the big ones like the police and school. So they're basically going with a level budget for everybody else. But they didn't do like Super Saturday for the other departments.
Okay, so we're not anticipating anything?
No.
Okay. Okay. Then I think we're on to new business, which I don't see anything listed. Does anyone have anything under other business? Going.
Oh, light bulbs. I just wanted to ask about light bulbs. I guess I haven't been in the library a long time, but Jean comes home and says she can't see upstairs sometimes because we're having trouble getting the lights.
Yeah, George, I was actually upstairs earlier today, and apparently George fixed all of them except for one.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. Thank you.
Yep.
Is there any problems anywhere else in?
Yeah, the faucet in the children's room is broken, and George is also working on fixing that. There were some lights on the main floor that were out, and he fixed those.
Okay. So we haven't been abandoned then?
Not completely.
Okay. Okay.
The building would be perfect by the time we have to move out. So don't worry.
Oh, that's good. That's
good.
We'll be able to see to move all those books.
Yeah.
Are we having problems with like the donations or the weeding and where to put the books? Since we're not having the sorting and the sales at the moment?
Well, we haven't been getting donations, but we have been weeding. So the closet in the Cooper room is pretty much full right now. We might have to spill out into the Cooper room since it's not being used right now. But the closet's completely full.
Okay. So we might want to talk to the Friends and the National Honor Society about potentially doing another sale when the weather supports it, which I assume might not be until May, but at least get it on their radar. Okay. Any other business? Hearing none. Anyone want to make a motion to call it a night?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Okay, we'll go around. David,
yes.
Katrina,
Yes.
Demetra,
Yes.
Mira,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you, everyone. I know this has been tough, but I think, you know, we'll get through it. So, and we
Yeah.
meet again on, I guess it must be March 4th, right?
Right.
So,
I hope I didn't upset anybody by being so pointed about it. I have really strong feelings about it, and I just have to apologize if I upset anybody. Not my intent.
I didn't think it was, David.
Okay.
so everyone's on edge. So,
Yeah.
okay.
All right. Good night,
Thank you.
all.